by car. In those days, the Manatee Avenue was a cobblestone. Not cobblestones, they were bricks. The whole avenue, the whole street was nothing but bricks. And we had run short on gas, so we pulled into a gas station. And we asked the attendant, could you tell us if there's any trailer park around that is close to the beach? Well, that gentleman, bless him, he stuck his head in our car window. He looked around first to see if there was anybody watching him. And he says, yeah. He says, there's a trailer park out on Anna Maria Island. But he says, for Pete's sake, don't tell anybody I told you. Because in those days, Braden and Anna Maria Island were, they were trying to keep the tourists to themselves. So we came out here on the old Cortez Road. How many people remember the old Cortez Road? How many times did you have to get your tires rotated? That thing for the new people, that was humped. About every 2 months you had to go get your tires rotated, or they were wearing off on one side. We found the old bridge. We went over it with our hearts in our mouth. We made it. And we found Gulf Park Trailer Park. Dick and Betty Dodge were the owners then, and we settled in for a long winter's night. How many of you remember Dick and Betty Dodge? Sure, got some trailer rides here. Do you remember when their anniversary was? Their anniversary was always on St. Patrick's Day. And that day they would throw a shindig like you wouldn't believe. We had contests all day long. And we had a big dinner, barbecue, and guess who the gentleman was who supervised the barbecuing? Mr. Roy Baden. We've got pictures. There are pictures back there of Roy Baden basting the spare ribs and the roast. Oh yes, the swamp cabbage. How could I forget that? How many of you remember Pete Brown? Pete Brown and his grocery store. That dear sweet man, I dearly loved him. We thought he was wonderful. We pulled in and got our first groceries there. And he was so sweet, he gave us a pound of butter. Oh, we thought he was wonderful. We pulled into Gulf Park Trailer Park. The people came up and greeted us. And guess what? They all gave us a pound of butter, too. Now, after being out in California during the war, butter was something you just didn't see. And that first night, Mom had made some biscuits, and we were going to sit down to this nice hot biscuits and butter. I can tell somebody over there remembers that butter. It had been cold storage butter, and it was as rancid as it could be. But the package said butter. How many of you remember National Bow Beer? That should be, oh come on now, National Bow Beer, that was a big deal on the island many years ago. Do you? All right, but with National Bow Beer, the company had shipped a bunch of cases of beer down here. And somebody had forgotten to put the tax stamp on the top of the can. And instead of trying to find the case that didn't have the tax stamp, they took all of the cases, they took them out in the Gulf and dumped them. And a couple of weeks later, instead of people going up and down the beach looking for shells, we had buckets and we were picking up cans of beer. National Bowl was very popular those days. I just looked at my notes and I forgot what I looked at. Okay, my dad, Mom, have been quite interested in this island. My dad, Mr. Greenwell, started. He was the original start of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. And he started, which we don't have today, the CAP, along with Leon Safford, who resided in Gulf Park Trailer Park. You may remember, he's up in North Carolina now, I think. Also, they operated several charter boats, the Black Witch, the Falcon, and yeah, that was enough to operate, I think. Right, Mom? Mom was the one that cleaned up the boats. in 1951, I believe it was, I married my husband, and he's Bob Martini, and he was the third mayor of Braden Beach. He had been on the council for quite a few years before that. And in case, well, you wouldn't know it now because they've all been torn down, but we did build the first motel there on where the Cortez Bridge is now. They've just been torn down the past year, though. Bob Motel, it's called Bridge Motel. Bridgecourt now. Okay, one other thing I want to draw your memory to. How many of you remember the watchtower that was down at the end of Bridge Street in Braden Beach? Just shortly after the Cuban crisis. It was a large wooden structure. People were signed up to stand up there at night with binoculars and spot planes. And then we had to call the Coast Guard or somebody up in Tampa to let them know that we saw a plane going by. And they'd say, yeah, we know. But anyhow, we had a watchtower at the end of Braden Beach, Bridge Street. And I think I'm going to stop reminiscing. I hope you all have enjoyed this evening. And I think the very best of it is yet to come, because we are going to start having you entertain us. So hang in there.
It all started when I was working in KSA. George Smith was running Tri-City Electric in those days, and he had advertised in the paper for a technician at that time for $50 a week. And I thought, since I was making a great sum of $25 a week, that ought to be a good place to start. Roy Braden got me in business for myself because he shortly thereafter closed up Tri-City Electric. And I was blessed with the opportunity to move into a paint store at that time, which is now West Coast Refrigeration. And I bought that off of the Holmeses, the supplies and the equipment in there. And at that point, I started in the business under the name of Island TV and raising 3 sons and having a lovely life on Anna Marie Island. What else can you say? That's just about sums it up.
That was wonderful, and I do hope that this PA only puts out so far. So it would be, if you would just keep your conversation a little lower so that we can get through to everybody. Can you people over there hear? We want you to be able to hear.
Hello, you nice people. I'm Tim Fellows. My wife Helen's right behind me here. We came here in 1956 from Jamestown, New York. My wife came home from school one time. She's a school teacher. And she said, where are my papers from the normal school that she graduated from? And I said, I don't know. But she found them. And I had been coaxing her to come to Florida for a long time. She's always said she wouldn't come. But she found her papers and she wrote to Mr. Hartley. Blackburn. Mr. Hartley Blackburn. And he was the superintendent of schools. And he hired her and we came to Florida in 1956. With 4 kids, a little Pekingese dog, and we drove across the old wooden bridge. And when we got into Holmes Beach, we pulled up and got a gallon of milk for our kids and some bread. And we were headed for the Carnahan's home, who is my wife's cousin. And when I was in the store, I looked out and I had a one-wheeler trailer on the back of a car. And I looked out and there was a great big bubble on the side of it. I said, oh, brother. About that time, that bubble let go, but it didn't. It was just the outer skin of it. And we managed to get to where we were going. And we lived on the island for 20 years. And I'd like to tell you people that I have enjoyed this evening I believe about the best of anything I can think of. You're all lovely, and I love you all, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
I love you too. It's been years since I've seen you. That speaker was Ken Fellows at the Anna Maria School. Would you say a few words for us? What was the school like in those days?
It's where the island players, I believe, now have. We had first through the 6th grade, all in the one building there. They were divided into 1st and 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th and 6th. And a lot of us went to school barefoot in those days. Mrs. Cobb drove the school bus, and a little bit closer. And it was a lot, quite a bit different than schools are today, naturally. It was a lot closer. There weren't that many students. But we learned a lot and enjoyed it quite a bit.
Todd Russo.
When I came to the island, I lived right out here in the yacht basin on a boat. My parents moved to Florida, and we lived on a houseboat, the Calypso. And there was a little bridge, and my mother worked over here at Pete Renard's, and I lived there for several years and been on the island just about ever since.
What year did you come?
We came to stay in 1957, but came many years before that, off and on.
Go ahead.
Yes, Billy?
Turn the speaker back.
When we hit the island, I think it was only in college about that time. And,
Al Harris.
Thank you, Billy. I came to the island originally in 1946 and worked for Jack Holmes when he was just developing the area we're in, the immediate area that we're in right now. And I built a house over here right on the curve. You may recognize sometime. I guess it's been sold many times since. And I started my career in music on this island at Greg and Pat Holmes Sandbar. And many of you may remember that. I have remembered the rest of my life. It's not quite over yet. I don't know anyone by the name of Romeo. I also worked with Romeo St. Cyr, which you may remember, and he's still a resident of the island. I'm living in Fort Lauderdale now. And our plans are now I'm planning to retire. I think I'll come back and enjoy the wonderful life on this island. And that's, I would like to thank everyone that attended this, and I'm sorry I wasn't aware of this being held yearly in the past 3 years. But I finally found out from Peggy, and here I am, my wife Meredith, and we intend to hit every one of them after this. Thank you so much.
Very much. This isn't easy. This year we asked so many interesting people to talk, and we got the very same story. What? Me get up there and face everybody? Now, I think the 3 speakers we had and the MC tonight deserve a real big hand because they did face you. They did it. Now, I think you should be a little embarrassed. So next year when you are asked to speak, you're talking to a bunch of friends, just like Vi Paxton right here. Oh, please.
Right this way. Right here. I can't even remember the first time I came to the South. I was only 3 when I came to Manatee County. You speak of Roy Dayton. You forgot, and then in Dick Dodge. I went to Cuba with him, I opened up. That's good. And my son, I got the first bar check because I had to go there and eat when they had a restaurant. That's how long I've been coming, since I was 3 years old. But I lived here from 48 when I married Bob Dunsterman, who built the Coquina Restaurant, which was a soda fountain. And you know, about 3 tables, little round tables and so forth. But we had a wonderful time, and I'll always come back. It's always home to me. It really is home. I love all the people. But somebody didn't mention Art and Tide, which was a place when I first came to this island. It was just one place you had to go to. The first year that we had the island reunion, we had Connie Hoffman speak, and she did tell us about Art Todd. The only thing she didn't tell about were the fights we used to have there every Saturday night. Table, so you didn't get stopped too. Oh, yes, naturally. Okay, let me see. You came to the island, and what it was like, and the things you remember fondly.
This is going to sound crazy to everybody. But the first time I came to Anna Maria Island, I guess I was 6 years old. But I lived in Tampa at the time. And my aunt used to bring a bunch of us down here to the old, which is where the Moose Lodge is now. And they had the shacks, the little huts out there where we changed our clothes. But then I moved to Bradenton after the war in 47. And my husband and I ran a business in Bradenton. But we came to the island every weekend. And I've been living here now since 1963. We finally bought our dream house on the island. We've been here since then. And he died 10 years ago, but I'm still here, and I expect to be here until I die.
Well, the island hopes to be here too.
Right. Although the condominiums out here, this island's going to sink very slowly. Not necessarily in the sunset either. And
I have here in front of me a one-note lead sheet. It has no chords, it has no bass to it or nothing, so we have to guess what the song's supposed to sound like. So if you'll help us out there, maybe I was hoping we'd have somebody up there that knew this song real well and put them on the microphone and let them sing. And I just play for them. Does everybody have a sheet in front of them there? Not yet. Well, we'll give you time to find it there. There's a little island that is dear to me, and no spot on earth will ever nearer be. For wherever I may roam, it will always be sweet home. Oh, that beautiful southern island in the sea. Oh, that wonderful little island in the sea. Now then, here comes the first word. And Maria, of the sea. And Maria, haunted the knee. Oh, mother happy, the brave and the free. Let's try that chorus again. Now, this is a real pretty little song. Ready? One more time. And Maria, I love the sea. And Maria, all in the deep. Oh, all the happy, the brave, and the free. Let's go to another verse now. Is there that nature sails the whole year through, and the stately palm trees wave these skies are blue? They're the mockingbird's sweet song through the sunny days and long. Makes you dream, Docky Green's beauty all come true. Now on the chorus, let's sing it. And Maria, I love the sea. And Maria, all in the deep. Oh, mother happy, the brave and the free. And Maria, One more time. I've heard better than 95-year-old Sunday school classes saying better than that. Great Scott. Come on now, you're learning the same as I am, so let's go one more time. I tell you, it's too high, we'll lower it a little bit. How about that? And on Maria, along the sea, and